X, or formerly Twitter account.
Yep, we're all recording now.
Thank you, sir. Okay, again, so we are a nonprofit. We give, we give, we give, and we give until it hurts, as Danny likes to say. Some quick stats on AHF. As of today, we have 62 sessions, 97 guest speakers. And I guess that includes you, Brian, who will be our guest speaker today. We have 263 members who have landed jobs, and we have 2,500 plus members on LinkedIn, and those numbers are still going up based on the power of everybody who likes to spread the word and pass on their referrals. Give yourselves a pat on the back because we have made this bigger through your efforts. We have made this bigger and more effective and widespread through your charitable spirits, your enlargement of the heart, and your ability to extend a helping hand even when you yourself are struggling. In fact, it's the best time to do it. So this is the AHF dashboard. The AHF LinkedIn group members, there are 2,574. The company followers, that's 1,040. The team's community members, it's 130. 157 YouTube subscribers, 82 Instagram subscribers. We've got followers on X at 25, Facebook 36, and we have 1 on TikTok. We need to boost those numbers up. Those are rookie numbers. We are gifted with the presence of a personal friend of Raul, Mr. Brian Pritchard, and he is our guest speaker this evening. And so I'm going to hand over the spotlight to him because, yeah, he's the guy who we want to hear from. And I'm eager to be edified, if not enlightened, by a little bit of what he has to tell us. So, Brian, take it away, sir. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you. Very, very grateful for it. And true to the format, you know, I wanted to start with that question, right? Of sharing one piece of insider knowledge that many job seekers might not be aware of, but would hopefully find incredibly helpful in their job search, right? So above and beyond what I would consider like the meat of what I wanted to talk about, when I thought about that question, I went back to my many years in executive search and recruiting. I know that headline, in ways both great and small, that doesn't tell you a lot about me. I'm a business consultant that helps with marketing and recruiting strategies. So I drive revenue for companies and I help them with staffing. And I grew up in a family business of recruiters. It's what my dad and aunt and uncle do. And I spend a lot of time like in that headhunting, you know, third-party search industry before going out on my own for the last 12 years as a business consultant. Last company I worked at prior to going out on my own was a company called Real Flow with Raul for about 5 years, from like 2009 through 2014. Our employment history intersected, and I haven't been an employee of anybody since, but we'll come back to that later. The insider knowledge thing that I wanted to mention actually briefly was just interview tips, okay? So as a recruiter, from working with all those hiring managers and all of those interviews, we had some stuff that we would say to every candidate as they were going out on an interview in terms of best practices. So one was to say that you don't know how many questions the interviewer wants to get through. And so be careful to answer questions as short and succinct as you can. So give the shortest answer possible in a way, right? Be careful not to ramble on. And then you can always ask at the end of giving a short answer, does that answer your question, or do you need more information? Give them the opportunity to probe further if they want to, or give them the opportunity similarly to move on if they want to. If you've given them enough information, they might have 50 questions that they're hoping to get through. And if you spend, 20 minutes over talking like I am right now on one topic, you can potentially not get to everything they want to talk about, right? Another great one with interview tips is to ask for the job, right? A sort of simple one that if you're getting to the end of the interview and you want the position, don't leave without telling them that. Let them know, hey, I just wanted to let you know, from everything I've heard today, I'm really interested in this position. Again, it sounds obvious, but a lot of people absolutely don't do it. And you wouldn't believe how many times hiring managers are coming back going like, yeah, I couldn't get a read on them. Tell them that you want the job if you want the job. So yeah, those are a couple big ones, right? Is to be careful to keep your answers short and sweet, and then ask, did that answer your question, or do you want me to elaborate on that? And then similarly, that as assuming again that you feel that way at the end, to go ahead and make your intentions known and tell them, I want this job, and those can go a long way. So I wanted to pivot in a way, thinking about that you've had 97 speakers and you'll have, hundreds more. A point of view that I wanted to put out there, that like those interview tips, I will spend some time talking about what I would call traditional job seeking stuff that I hope is useful. But I also wanted to mention this other idea, in case it resonates with some people, which is, you don't always have to go be an employee again, right? That I've had times where my sources of revenue went away. And especially in the early days of being on a self-employment journey, I would get nervous. I would get nervous about being like, can I really pull this off? Or will all of this go away and I'll have to go back to, being an employee again? Over time, my confidence has grown based on obviously having had evidence that a process works, right? Then you're taking it out of imagination and you're thinking about your experience and going, no, I can do this again because I've done it before. And I guess what I'm talking about high level there really is inside the power of networking, inside the power of what they call, farming rather than hunting, whether it is groups like Chamber of Commerce, or one group in particular that has been critically important to me is BNI. I imagine it's come up before. Some of you might know it, some of you might not. So I'll talk for a minute, and for anybody who's never heard of that acronym. It's the world's largest, not just the United States, it's the world's largest professional networking organization, right? So all over the world, in multiple countries, multiple languages, there are people sitting down, and the structure of those groups, because it is unique, is that they allow one person per professional category to join. So there's not going to be two roofers there, or two plumbers or two lawyers or two anything. There's one person per category. As a result of that, in any given region, like here where I sit in Northeast Ohio, there's probably 60 chapters, right? Meaning that if I wanted to go have an audience with hundreds of local business owners, I just have to attend one meeting per day. If I could carve out 90 minutes, if I could commit, anybody could commit 90 minutes a day next week, one meeting, find one on Monday, one on Tuesday, one on Wednesday, right? You would have an audience with literally hundreds of local business owners and decision makers, right? I've been going to those meetings for 15 years. I almost never attend one where at least one person doesn't stand up and say, hey, a good introduction for me this week is a job seeker who's open to ABC, whatever it is that they need help with. Those groups are referral focused. The main function of them is that me and other people go to get referrals and warm introductions from people. You spend time getting to know each other so that really those other people become not your sales prospects, not your customers. They are your sales team. The 45 people that are in my BNI chapter, maybe I'll do business with some of them, but that's not really why I interact with them. I interact with them so that they can be my eyes and ears out in the world. I educate them about what I'm looking for so that they recognize it when they're standing right in front of somebody that is like, oh my God, you have to talk to Brian, right? Like, I educate them about how to recognize that when they see it. But again, from a job seeker perspective, number one, because that's, you know, part of the function of this group, it's an easy and free way that anybody on here can go to the BNI website, plug in your zip code, find the chapters that meet. It'll tell you where and when, what day, what time, and it'll be a spot that'll say how many members, and you can click and it'll show you who those members are, okay? I'm not sure how broad and diverse the nature of work people do that are attending these calls, to be honest, right? But again, it's not even necessarily what the people in that room do for a living. It's that they're all professional connectors, professional networkers, right? As I joke around when my kids go, what is it that you do? I go, I don't know. I'm a professional friendly person, I think, right? After doing it for the last 15 years, I'm pretty sure that's my job, is that I go out and I meet people and I put the emphasis on them instead of me, right? That I engage with my natural curiosity for my fellow human being. I find out who are you? What are you looking for? What types of referrals and introductions are you seeking? Outside of those 90-minute meetings, and this is true whether you go to a chamber meeting or a BNI meeting or any networking function, right? You're going to have a brief interaction with some people at any of those settings. You know, I have a preference for BNI, but they all have their pros and cons. But again, in any of them, ideally, you could come away having had a few interactions, collecting a few business cards. Here's the thing is that when we're no longer standing in front of that person that we were just meeting and kind of getting along with, we are slowly receding further and further and further away in their thoughts, right? It's not because they didn't like us. It's because it's how we are as people. Top of mind awareness is critically important. It's central to sales and marketing, right? It's why, regardless of new technology, you still have things like billboards and fridge magnets and, you know what I mean? Like branded products. It's why, in fact, a structure like BNI that has weekly meetings and accountability built into it is the world's largest and most successful of its type, right? Is that there's something baked into that formula that crosses language barriers and cultural barriers, right? It's literally happening in every country, every language. Why does it work everywhere in the world? Because that's how human beings work. You look out for each other. You put the emphasis on not what you want, but on what they want and how you can help them get what they want. And you allow what you want to sort of almost be incidental and take care of itself. There was a book, Raul, that Greg, our old boss at RealFlow, had us read once called "The 7 Laws of Influence" by Dr. Cialdini. And you know, if some of you may have read it or may not, but one of the laws they talk about that this book talks about the 7 things that like govern decision making for human beings, like the deepest primal motivating things in our world. Anyway, reciprocity is one of them, right? So as a human being, you sort of go like, well, that's you don't want to have a weird, gross, cynical attitude where, again, you don't do nice things for people with some expectation of having things come back. But to me, it was exciting to realize that there was a business strategy associated with who I wanted to be anyway as a human being. That's good news, right? Because there's also the hunter type of sales approach, which is, and I'm not trying to criticize it, everybody's different, you know, but I'm not one of those people that has like the thick skin, can hear like no just all day long, be rejected all day long. You know what I mean? It's that stuff stresses me out. I want to make good use of the time that we have, so I want to pivot to another strategy, which is also free, also incredibly valuable, available through the public library system. any library system has a reference librarian. Honestly, for the last 20, 30 years, that stuff has all been available online. You don't really need to go into your branch unless you don't have a library card, then go get one. Library systems have access to really incredible free data tools that are the same data tools that big companies go out and purchase lists, right? So I'll use an example and say that you are looking for Moen is a big company nearby here, right? Moen is a faucet maker, okay? And so maybe I just lost my job at Moen and I was a powder coatings, automation engineer or whatever. It's like you had sort of a niche function that you did. I like to think in very linear terms and take it out of the abstract, right? So if I'm in that boat and I'm that job seeker and I just lost that job and that's my skill set, okay? One of the first things I would do is I would look up Moen's business classification. Every business in the country has an SIC code and an NAICS code. But yeah, if you could look up for any company you could think of, any company that you have worked for or want to work for, and just Google search and go, what is the SIC code for that company? Okay, you'll get an immediate instant answer. That's one of the ways you can filter these data lists is you can pull a business list and say, show me all the companies that are in this specific industry. Or you could make it geographic and say, no, I could work for anybody. You know what I mean? Just show me all the companies in a 5-mile radius that have 50 employees or more, or have a certain sales volume. There's a lot of ways you can filter and play with the data for free to zero in on a company list that then also gives you their company org chart, right? It does a lot of the work for you in terms of going, here are the names of the key executives that work for this company, right? Even without that, just open up another tab and open up LinkedIn. You know what I mean? And if you run into the roadblock on LinkedIn of being like 3 degrees away, right? You know what I mean? And so it's just saying LinkedIn member. You go, well, I'd love to talk to the HR manager at Moen. Who are they? And you go on LinkedIn and you're not close connection enough, right? I'm sure many of you have encountered that problem before. Immediate workaround for it, okay? You open up Google and you put the company name, the word and capitalized. So I'll use Moen again as an example. You go Moen, capital A-N-D, and then whatever that the job title was, as shown on LinkedIn, HR manager, human resources manager, some other department head, whoever you're trying to talk to, put in the company name and the job title, and this is important, in URL :LinkedIn, okay? INURL :LinkedIn, right? That command to the search engine Google will give you the direct link to the profile of the person that you're looking for, right? It bypasses the trying to upsell you to premium thing that LinkedIn is trying to do of going, hey, if you want to see this person, give us some money. No thanks. I'm just going to open up a Google tab real quick and I'm going to put in company name and job title and in URL :LinkedIn. And that goofy search engine is just a goofy little robot and it's going to do what we tell it to do. And it's only going to give us the results where that name, that job title appear along with in the URL, the words LinkedIn. And that only happens on the website LinkedIn. So anyway, trust me, it works. You can try it right now. It works. So that's a cool way to bypass and find a direct way to connect with specific individuals from those companies. So you don't have to wait for somebody to post a help wanted, a job posting to apply, right? You just need to know who to talk to at that company. That's how you find them, okay? Boy, I'm not even sure where I'm at timing wise, so I want to stop talking for a minute and see if anybody has some questions.
Yeah, if you could write down in the text there, the last part there, I know you said company name and the title